Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chakras and Cusswords. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Katherine. I am your podcast host, and I am centered on everything self-care, movement of energy, astrology, the energy of the world, and allowing ourselves to use this energy and use it for our benefit and kind of get to know the area of alchemy a little bit better. And I'm excited about today's episode. Today's episode is one of my favorite topics. It is healing your witch's wound, setting intentions towards healing your witch's wounds. And I will say, I have done many podcasts on this. I have done many energy movements such as meditations. I think about a total of 4 videos if you are looking towards finding a meditation for healing your witch's wound, understanding what the witch's wound is. But this episode is all about the witch's wound. I love to talk about the witch's wound right around Halloween because that is kind of how the witch got her name, is right around the area of Halloween and the area of the Salem witch trials. But what we do know about the witch's wound is the witch's wound is really an energy of learning to be authentic in who it is that you are. It is learning to let go of trauma, and it's learning to move towards new movement. It's understanding that people are going to judge you no matter what. So fuck it. Have a good life, enjoy your life, do what makes you feel happy, and do what shifts you into the right direction. So a lot of times we wonder, like, who are these women who might have a witch's wound or who might be centered around the energy of a witch's wound? Well, first of all, let's explain the whole concept of a witch's wound. The witch's wound is, in all honesty, that energy of shame. It's also the energy of a collective trauma. And I want to explain this because many of the women who were actually unalived during the Salem witch trials weren't necessarily witches. They were probably astrologers, herbalists, and so on. But history has this ugly little history just hates powerful women. Society in general just hates women who can't be boxed in and who won't allow themselves to be controlled. And it is something that history and even society continues to play at. The energy of the witch, and the witch sounds so scary, but in actuality, it's not. Some of the most nicest people I know are witches. And take in the energy of understanding that the discussion of what is a witch is so stupid. Like, most women who might be categorized as a witch aren't even witches. They're just women who don't fit society's norms. Look at the area of judgment and how judgment has played to make you a little bit fearing of what society thinks. So understanding that the history is over, we now have to look at clearing our own energy, and that is the healing of the witch's wound. So when we are looking at people who might have signs of having a witch's wound, this is what some of them are. So that could be as something as simple as basically expressing yourself. And maybe, we downplay our abilities of our creative process because we're in fear of what others might think. So that is a form of a witch's wound. Women who might have a witch's wound might be seen as healers or somebody who isn't centered of having spiritual gifts, if this is a psychic ability, a strong intuition, or if this is just sharing knowledge with the collective. I would say that definitely when I started my podcast, my witch's wound was starting to get a little almost like burning sensation. Like I could feel that the witch's wound was kind of coming back up, where I was getting nervous to talk about certain topics that I knew I wanted to talk about, but my witch's wound was just not allowing me to do so because I was so fearful of what others might think, what others might think of me as a mother, what others might think of me as a woman, as a professional woman who actually holds a career. I was just very nervous that people would judge me and have a false perspective of me because of the topics that I was talking about. I will say that the history of the witches' trial does have a stigma around witches of today. And that word witch, I will say, has always had this negative notion to it. It's never really been seen as a powerful thing, but I do feel like now the collective is starting to shift, where the collective sees that women who are a little bit maybe not so centered in what society wants them to do, but they're more centered in what it is that they want to do, are becoming a little bit more outspoken. And I really appreciate that. I also appreciate meeting women who have the same curiosities as me, also the same areas of expression as me, and they sometimes will have to have similar journeys as me, as well as me having similar journeys as them, even though our journeys are totally different. So there's a few signs that you might be carrying a witch's wound, or you have a witch's wound. And I will say that when we are talking about this, I don't want you to feel embarrassed or ashamed if you feel like you have some of these signs, because I will tell you that I had signs of a witch's wound as well, and it was something that I had to really work with, and I still work with it. There's still things that I might say, like, I don't know if I should talk about that, or I don't know if I should share that, and it's not necessarily because I don't feel drawn to share it or I don't feel drawn to talk about it. It's because of what others might think. So let's get into some of the signs. You might be feeling ashamed or afraid to call yourself either a witch, a spiritual healer, or a spiritualist, or somebody who's more aligned with the energy and the cosmos. You might be a little bit nervous about the things that you want to talk about to your friends. You might feel like you might be judged, and the fear of being judged by family and friends or society is a big one. We want to make people proud, and sometimes we think if they're judging us, that must mean that they're not proud of us. But in actuality, it could be the exact opposite. They might be very proud of us for speaking and staying authentic to who we are, but that witch's wound tends to come up and it leaves us in fear. The witch's wound also reminds me of the energy with the throat chakra, where you feel like you cannot express yourself correctly and you cannot express yourself in that energy of communicating what it is that your core message is. You might also feel like you're holding back some of your magical abilities. And I wanted to remind everybody that magic and energy of, I guess you could say, allowing the universe to dance at your fingertips is something that many of us have. And that could just be how we speak certain things into areas of existence, how we see the world, and also how the universe sees us. So allowing yourself to practice your intuitive gifts, or allowing yourself to practice your magic without being ridiculed. We also have to remember that magic is about creation and creation of our creativity, also with our energy of passion. So what it is that our energy of passion and creativity is allowing us to express and allowing us to see. So some of us might be very nervous about expressing our creative energy because of our witch's wound. Bringing to the area of karma, 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 karma. Karma never really escapes us, and particularly those who feel the energy of being found out. I want to say, if let's say you are a closet witch, and you might be like, what is a closet witch? A closet witch is somebody who keeps her brooms in her closet. Duh. But in all honesty, a closet witch is somebody who is in fear of expressing who they really are because of their witch's wound. And maybe they are practicing energies of being a witch behind closed doors, but for whatever reason, they don't want others to know. And let's say they accidentally get found out, right? Accidentally, I don't know, somebody comes home and they see you with your crystals out, and they see you with rosemary covered all over a candle as you burn it, or they see you looking at some of your affirmations or journal prompts and they kind of found you out. We have to remember that karma, in the energy of living in our processes, tends to come back around, right? So if our fear of people not knowing who we are is holding us back, that will be an obstacle that we will have to face. Also, let's talk about healing your witch's wound. And this is important. Healing your witch's wound, it's an area of acknowledging the history and acknowledging and honoring your ancestors. I traditionally would say that working in the areas of your ancestors and the area of lineage that you come from pays a lot of homage to every obstacle that they have gone through, everything that they have had to conquer or move past because of the way society treated them. So definitely look at the energy of where it is that you feel most aligned with your ancestral base. I do think that there are certain things that should be left for certain ancestral groups, because in some ways we don't have direct ties to that lineage, we don't have direct ties to that movement. And those traditionally are not our ancestral practices. So when you are looking to heal your witch's wound, you should definitely acknowledge where your ancestral base comes from and look at those practices that they have inherited, that you have inherited too, and look and learn more about it. Also, you can look and learn more about different cultures as well. As many of you guys know, I am not Hindi, but the chakras come from Hindu practices. I pay great homage to it. I also pay great respects to it. And I feel like the way that the chakras are explained, in all honesty, is very much centered around how the energy does work. So it is a practice that I have learned to value, respect, and love, but also I pay a great mind to pay that homage and to pay that respect back to the traditional ancestral root that it comes from. We also want to look at the areas of not just beginning to heal your witch's wound because you want everybody to know that you're a witch, but also healing your witch's wound because, in all honesty, it's going to sit right with you. It's going to make you feel aligned in the energy that you are, because that is who you are, and instead of living in fear. For a small start, I would say get familiar with daily rituals like lighting candles and setting intentions as you light those candles. and watching the flame burn, setting intentions to allow yourself to live in your authentic space. Also acknowledging some of the fears and watching them fly away or burn away, as one might say. Also, I do enjoy pulling tarot and learning the message from that card, learning the message from the deck. The energy of using a tarot for healing your witch's wound can be very valuable because you are acknowledging obstacles, you are also acknowledging fears, and you are seeing a story. Sometimes you need to look at that story and see how it reflects with you. For instance, if you pull the Tower, you know that there's been obstacles. Maybe the obstacle is you aren't able to express yourself. And now it is time for you to really express yourself and heal that witch's wound. Also, you're going to want to look at connecting with nature. Connecting with nature is a big one, especially, and I don't want to just sound very broad of connecting with nature, but understanding the energy of the elements, understanding the energy of earth, fire, water, air, magic, and consciousness. Understanding that energy of the elements is very important. Also, understanding the movement of the seasons is very important as well in healing your witch's wound. I would say that you want to definitely journal your fears. What is it about people acknowledging that you are magical? What is the issue behind it? If it's just that you are very nervous about people finding out that you are a little bit more magical, a little bit more mysterious, a little bit more different, it's going to take some lot of self-work to understanding that you loving yourself for who you are exactly will allow you to heal your witch's wound. It will allow you to identify as being a spiritual creature, as being a beautiful soul, as being the one who is in charge with your destiny. So allowing yourself to maybe journal some prompts, identifying what it is that actually brings the fear. Like, are you scared your job's going to think that you're super witchy and they're going to fire you? Are you scared that maybe the soccer moms are going to kick you and your kid off the soccer team? What is it that is bringing you fear in it, and what it is that you need to acknowledge? And of course, not all witchy women run around and saying, I'm a witch, I'm a witch, I'm a witch, I'm a witch. Nobody really does that. It is their area of spiritual practices. It is their energy of their solar mechanism, of their energy, of their power. So they aren't necessarily screaming it from the rooftop, but there will be signs. And one of the things is you can't hide the signs. You can't hide that energy. When you do that, that's what makes you a closet witch. And sometimes that's not really the best formulation. It's like somebody who is, let's say, we'll say Christian, but they hide that they're Christian, or they hide that they believe those beliefs because of the formulation of people might judging them. So you have to understand that what you believe is what you believe, and the reason why you believe it is because it sits right in your soul. Also, take time to understand that you have power and you can stand in your power, and you are safe when you do. So you are safe when you stand in your power because that is who you are, and that is who you are as a authentic person, as an authentic soul. So pick up affirmations where you feel that energy of the power coming through. If it's, I stand in my power, I stand in who I am, I stand in the area of being me, I stand in being safe with who I am. Look at affirmations and intentions that you could use and specially speak, because we do have to remember there is a huge throat chakra alignment. Also, stop being a closet witch. I say that with the greatest respects. You don't have to scream it to the heavens. You don't have to scream it to the hells. You don't have to scream it at the party, but just embrace your beginner witch journey. Just embrace your beginner journey of learning about your own spiritual practices. Provide the practical tips that you see within you. So provide those tips to you. What works for you? For instance, what works for you could be understanding that you like to clean your house before a full moon or a new moon because it makes you happy. Also, do like little witchy things that feel aligned with you. I'm not saying, like I said, you don't have to scream it out, but do things that allow you to practice your practice. Also, provide yourself with a new energetic alignment of finding people who are like you. And sometimes that's a little bit hard because not so many people live in this collective. Not so many people live in this collective of being seen more as a spiritualist, more of an alchemist, more of a witch, or more of a energy mover and shaker. Most people are usually drawn to the church. I'll be honest, I came from a Catholic family. I came somewhat of a Catholic, so I was baptized, but I wasn't necessarily, we didn't go to church. I did go to like Bible school and some church camps. I do have a strong connection with God. I just do not have a strong connection with the church. There is a difference. And whatever you believe is what you believe. So allow yourself to find people like you, if that's looking at groups on Facebook, if that's posting, looking at hashtags. Maybe you're not comfortable with posting certain topics or posting certain things, but allow yourself to interact. I will say interacting with people who are like you and have similar spiritual beliefs and similar belief systems is important, because you can really start to feel like the outsider when you don't. And understand that your friends will sometimes introduce you as their witchy friend, and that's okay because you are out of the closet. So definitely look at beginner tools. Don't, jump out of your witchy closet and start going head on, head first into the witchy collective. Start small. Also understand that there's a lot of people in the community, of the witchy community, who have psychosis, mental health problems, and basically just are not centered in reality. We have to remember that there are sometimes a lot of people who are going through a lot of things and they decide to go to the witchy community because they do feel like an outsider in their own community, but they're also not necessarily 100% there. So be careful, because the spiritual community, the witchy community, can be extremely toxic, just like regular society. So make sure you do your due diligence, you respect your energy, you respect other people's energy, and you are mindful, and you are also realistic, and you are still very much centered and grounded on this earth and on this journey. So definitely talk about some of the beginner tools. Ask people, look at YouTube, such as like crystals, tarot cards, simple spell work. I love mirror magic, confidence spells. Like, nobody's saying like go and become a witch and start hexing people. Some witches live by the law of three, which basically means like whatever you do has an energy of coming back to you. Some witches don't live by that law, and they feel that, you know, if they hex somebody, that energy is not going to come back to them. Me personally, I live within the 12 laws of karma. I don't necessarily hex anybody. I'm not saying I've never hexed anybody. I'm just saying I don't do it now. Let's continue. So, talk to people who have similar areas of you. Also, look at the energy of the moon and the sun. The moon and the sun are two of your biggest energetic embraces that you really need to understand the energy that both of them hold. The sun as a masculine energy and the moon as a feminine. Make sure you understand that there are phases to life. There are phases in this journey. There might be a day where you wake up and you say, you know what? All this witchy shit is not for me. And that is totally fine. That is 100% totally fine. When I think of people who have done that, and maybe have found like Christ or religion, or they've, you know, have other means of expressing their spirituality, I think that's amazing. In all honesty, whatever works for you and allows you to feel loved in who you are and what it is that you bring to the table, what it is that you want to express yourself with, I say do it. If that is being part of a church, if that is being part of a moon collective, if that is being a part of an astrology group, whatever it is that really sits right with you. So remember that there's always phases in life. Also, you're going to want to look at the area of your own energy. And when you look at the own energy, it is a little bit different, right? Your own energy is centered around you. And that could be as simple as understanding the chakra system. The chakras, to me, like I said before, are very important. It's understanding how we live within our own energy every day. So going to a Reiki session isn't clearing all your chakras and your chakras are totally a balance because you did that. It's a tool. It's not necessarily something that you know, clear and then you never have to do it again. It's understanding that there is a lifestyle of clearing your energy, taking in new energy, releasing old energy, moving past certain areas of objections or obstacles. It's understanding that that energy of movement is very important on a daily practice. That's really what witchiness, witchcraft, or being a witch is about, is having daily rituals of your own energy, understanding how to balance your own energy. If that is with a full-on spell work, or if that is on just having a little bit of morning confidence intentions when you're at the mirror to kind of give you a pick-me-up, that is very much what it's all about, is understanding your own energy. Remember, and I will say, remember this: if you are a witch, if you're a beginner witch, if you're not a witch, or you're just a spiritualist, or you're just somebody who's curious, just remember that your power is for you. It is who you are. It is who you were born to be. Many people say it's a birthright. It is your ability to stand true in who you are. And it's time to heal away from fear of what other people might think of us. It's living in the energy of what has happened in the past and honoring what is happening right now. Honor your magic by being bold to your liking. If you don't want to be outwardly bold, don't. Be bold at what makes you feel comfortable. But if it isn't making you feel comfortable, then maybe you might have to take a couple steps back. So be who it is that you feel destined to be. You're not alone in this journey at all. This journey is just the beginning. So many people have stepped into their witch's boots and felt nervous. That is the truth. It is 100% the truth. A lot of people have stepped into that energy of moving forward in who it is that they see themselves, their energy of their core message, and have been nervous about what other people will think. And some of us are nervous because we might think, well, what if I don't like this anymore in 5 years or 10 years? That is fine. Trust me, the witchy community is not going to be mad at you. Nobody's going to be mad at you. You will be mad at yourself if you aren't living in your own authentic space. So at some time you feel like this isn't right for you, that is a decision that you should make. But right now, if this is something that feels aligned with you, get that broom out the closet, babe, and let the magic begin. Also, there's a way to let the movement and the energy of the collective feel aligned. I think a lot of us, we have seen that the collective is starting to basically wake up, and we see that a lot of the stuff that has been taught to us isn't necessarily the real thing, right? We see that a lot of times history has been very tainted and very evil, and everything that came from it has put areas of embarrassment and shame on us, and also has put energy that has felt too much, right? So allowing ourselves to move past that and move past the ties that history and society has been weighing us down with and allowing us to feel so vulnerable with. So taking back who you are and acknowledging that you are right. If it's being a witch, if it's being a yoga instructor, if it's being an actress, a teacher, a nurse, if it's being a police officer, we're always going to feel like people might be judging us. So allowing yourself to remove that energy of the wounds. I also want to remind you, we should rise together. We should learn to communicate with each other on certain topics. A lot of times people will ask me some things about witchy behaviors that I might have, or witchy, or my practices, my tools, my resources. And I try to give them as honest of an answer as I can, and why I feel aligned with it, because I know they're curious. Why does she like this stuff? Why is she drawn to this stuff? You know, I wish I could tell you why. I don't know. I am. But let's keep the energy moving towards allowing those honest conversations and allowing that honest dialogue to come through. Also, you can check out the other podcasts and meditations that I have on healing your witch's wound and setting intentions towards healing your witch's wound. And everybody have a magical, magical day. And please like, comment, and subscribe to Chakras and Cusswords podcast, and share this with your witchy bestie. Bye.